Sekarang ita hizi kitu ini kita kitu ngoja tuko busy tulikuja hapo mapema na kuna vitu zingine tuko tumebeba sasa ndio tuone bala tunao tukufanya na simu kama tukufanya na simu kita gimana kitu kama maneno pekee lakini tunaona kusa kitu kama ngine saundo ndio ana ni kitu mara hii na nini and then we focus.
Thank you so much, Terry, for coming in.
Goya photo. Goya photo. Goya picha mara. Goya photo. Photo mara lipi.
So I asked you to make everything. I managed to find time to come to you. And so I want you to see everybody to this conference. We're expecting a female persons from the duty board. But every day there's an important need for somebody who has been violated sexually, or defiant, or sodomized, or assaulted every day. And so when we start coalescing around the elections to be the time when we engage in this conversation and use it as climax, then I think as a country we may have failed, and we need to be able to say, call it out for what it is. That SGBV is not an event. SGBV is not a cycle that only happens every 5 years, but that it is a crime and violation that occurs every single day in this country. So all the partners that we're seeing here have been engaged in one form or another in trying to address sexual and gender based violence, whether it's through policy, whether it's through welfare, whatever support, whether it's through changing the laws, whether it's through engaging and pleading with our leaders to be able to take a much more serious approach to how we want to deal with prevention, protection, management, and response. We also realize that we've got to start planning long term, and that we must be able to start talking about reinforcing our systems and continuously address the underlying socioeconomic inequalities that result in the sort of violations that we see. We have got to be able to recognize and admit that we have all of us in ourselves deliberately, and that we are failing in ways collaborating and coordinating. We also realize that we can sometimes make it unavoidable and and that we put all our energies in trying to ensure that we are committed to addressing sexual and gender violence within our country. If we're able to do it just around elections, we're able to do it every single day. And our failure to prioritize GDP funding is one of the key things to discuss. Today's meeting is going to give us an opportunity to be able to ask ourselves, what do we put in time? In terms of short-term, medium term, and short-term, because elections is the thing we're talking about right now, and we must be able to do something. But we're sitting here saying we want to make sure that it's not just a conversation that happens now, August 10th, it ends. The violations that you see does not stop until August. It continues every single day. And so if we're going to commit our resources, if we're going to commit whatever policies we're doing, and we have seen assigning chapters and whatever peace agreements and memorandums of understanding, I think that's very nice. And perhaps you should do that. Be able to address how we can reduce the violations that we see, how we can respond as well. So we have got to start engaging a conversation around how technology will be safe for women. We have got to be able to also say that we must be deliberate. You know, we talk about making sure that women are around the table so we get to hear their issues, we get to understand what their worries are. We have to be deliberate. Because it's not enough to say, yes, we organize public participation. That's all very nice. But when we're dealing with something, the nature we want to discuss, then we have got to be deliberate. We must be able to say, there's a specific table that is going to be allocated for women to talk about the issues around children. And that's what I mean by being deliberate. We must also then be deliberate about our funding. It's not enough to say that, oh, we have given you a little percent. When we do not have infrastructure in place, then we must be able to spend more. And I think, I'm hoping that our governor will come, and he's not here at the moment, but I hope that when he comes, what we want to hear from him is after devolution 2, after 10 years, we have demanded and requested and pleaded and asked for a safe house, a rescue center, a place where people can go to when they have nowhere else to go. And for 10 years, we're still begging, and we're still pleading, and we're still asking. As we are still sitting and standing here right now, we are talking about putting in place safety measures, but we have nowhere where women, where young boys, where persons with disability, where anybody who is at threat can actually launch. And those are the conversations we should be having. That we are talking about being a genderless in a police station, but we have no idea what a genderless actually means. It's not just a table and a chair. It is much more than that. It is the way we embrace, it is the way we respond, it is the way we react, and it is the way we approach so many young boys, so many persons with disability. I stand here, and I suppose I can be corrected, but I stand here without contradiction saying that every single one here is aiming for one thing only: prevention of any more violation, any more sexual violation. So we want to be able to extend our hand to all the duty bearers who are present, that we are ready to make it. But the question is, are we ready to be obedient so we can deliver the message? So I welcome everybody to this conference, and I hope that we shall have an open and honest conversation. We shall appreciate that yes, we have done things, but we should also acknowledge that yes, we do have gaps in the business we need to responsibility to address. So thank you everybody, and can you decide?
As has already been mentioned, this is a conference that brings together different players with a view to ensuring that all children, all women, all persons with disability are protected, especially during these times of the elections, and we are also looking at these as a futuristic intervention so that we not only look at what we're doing now, but again what we're going to be able to do in the future. Basically, I want to give you a short preview of the situation of children specifically in Kisumu County. It is reported that Kisumu County is it's actually the third highest in total in terms of number of child protection cases that are reported nationally. So it tells us then that we have a very big Again, it's reported that on average, about 10,000 cases do happen at need for in this county. But again, these are really following up. And again, these are usually about 50% are reported to the girls, and therefore telling us that the girl child is still the one who faces most in terms of protection needs. Again, girls suffer a lot more abuse and violence, I would say, and up to 830 of these are reported in Kisumu, which means that we're losing about, we're destroying about 830 lives of girls every day in Kisumu County, which again calls for certain efforts towards the protection of these girls. Sadly, only about 30% of these ever get reported. So it means then that whatever is not reported may not be acted upon. And it is therefore our duty as duty bearers, our duty as civil society organizations to make sure that we put in concerted efforts to ensure that these cases are first and foremost reported, these cases are acted upon, and these cases are resolved in a way and in a manner that then helps the girl child, helps all the children who are facing this kind of abuses. Now, it is again known that during the election period, Kisumu is one of the greatest health hotspots within the country. And it is estimated that at least 7 out of 10 victims who suffer during the post-election and election period happen to be girls. All these cases are never reported, or those that are reported are never acted upon. In the next 3 months, we are also aware that the cases of child abuse, cases of protection needs are going to be on the rise. But unfortunately, there is very low response capacity amongst the different players in this space. This is again indicated by the small number of initiatives and programs within the county that target child protection issues. The few responders who are there, specifically this is government, we have the NGO and a few local CSOs, their combined capacity is only able to deal with about 30% of the reported cases. So we're again seeing that there's still quite a gap, even as many of us put in all the effort that we're able to. So with those kind of gaps still in existence, it then means that as individual organizations, as duty bearers, we really need to put in a lot more effort towards ensuring that this estimated 70% that remain unattended to then are able to be helped in one way or the other. Again, data indicates that up to 70% of these cases happen to be girls. Because of these intervention gaps that I've mentioned, it's important that we increase the response capacity of the different actors. Besides these actors having to come together and working in unison, it's important that each individual actor have the capacity to provide protection, to manage issues that come up every other day in a manner that then ensures that the cases are managed in the most appropriate manner. It then means that we need, for example, to strengthen the child protection pathways. The different referral pathways have to be strengthened, besides strengthening access to justice, especially for the victims, who usually include the children and women, as I've already mentioned. This cannot be done in isolation. As has been mentioned before, we have all come here together so that individually and collectively we can then outline what we're able to do and what we intend to do, both now and in the future. I therefore once again welcome you to this conference where we're going to have deliberations. Hopefully the duty bearers who are here are going to take up all the recommendations. As CSOs who are here, we're going to take up all the recommendations, and whatever community we come up with after this is going to be acted upon with a view to ensuring that the protection of the girl child, the protection of women and young people and persons with disability is ensured for now and in the future. Thank you.
Can we give the two speakers 3 handicrafts? Ya kwanza, I think the church is in a certain forum, we say you clap that way. Then all of a sudden young people started complaining, favoring your age. I'm not trying to imply anything. Thank you so much for opening your mouth, for those two opening your mouth for the planning committee. And indeed from the graph that you have addressed, we can see there is a high issue of unreported cases. There's around 30% of the cases which are being reported are unattended to. And on that regard, I would love to invite somebody from the State Department of Youth Affairs. And I know it's one of the groups which are considered vulnerable in this election setup. I'd love to invite the Director of Youth, Kisumu County, Mr. Kaluch. Kindly, Karibu.
Everybody. As you have been told from the State Department of Youth Affairs here in Kisumu County, basically our mandate revolves around youth management of youth policy. We are also harnessing youth talents. Again, we are engaged in youth empowerment. And lastly, on stakeholder engagement, because as government cannot do everything alone. The activities that we as a State Department we are known for, basically I think the theme of today's meeting, they somehow assist in resolving the recurring violent and criminal activities that our youths engage in, because as we all know, it is our youths that are blamed for violence and engaging in criminality. So basically the activities that we are engaged in, one is sensitizing our youths on some 9 thematic areas, be it health, youth employment, education, crime and drug abuse, among others. And then we are also known for we have constructed youth empowerment centers all over. In fact, it is envisaged that all the constituencies will have at least one youth empowerment centers. These are one-stop shops where youths congregate and share their ideas. Even our partners can come and train them on various issues that are affecting their lives. Then again, these spaces, we also use them as digital spaces, but we are also collaborating with Akira Digital and the ICT Authority so that we give our youth basic computer skills that can enable them engage in online work. Then again, as a department, we are known for the affirmative action funds that we give, like Wezo Fund. We also have Women Fund and Youth Fund, that our youth can access so that they start their own businesses. I'm raising this, bringing out this so that you see that the challenge that our youths are getting is majorly on unemployment. And when they are unemployed, they tend to be swayed, especially during the political recession season. Like now, they are given some little amount of money and they cause chaos. Then also as a department, we also have the Kenya Youth Employment and Opportunities Program, where youths are given certain skills that can enable them start earning. It has been here in Kisumu County for since I go 1,000 youths have been trained on life skills, core business and the job specific skills like for instance welding, plumbing, those that are engaged in beauty. And then again, there's also another component where our youths are given some grants. They are not loans, they are grants. It is given by MCA so that they can start their own businesses, and those who already have the skills can use that money to buy the equipment. Among other things that we are doing, we also engaged in Cousin Tani. I know maybe when the commissioner will be given a chance, she might talk about it. And then lastly, I talked of stakeholder engagement. Here in Kisumu County, we have what we call the Kisumu County Youth Sector Working Group, where all those who are doing some youth activity, be they government, national government, or county government, be they CBOs, state NGOs, faith-based organizations, congregate and discuss their issues so that we have some synergy and avoid certain wastages. Now, when you look at the Kenya Youth Development Policy 2019, I believe most of us have gone through it. The goal of that policy is to promote a holistic empowerment and participation of our youth. And the vision is so that our youths have an equal and responsible opportunity to realize their potential in all spheres. And to us, a youth, I know some, you go to the field and you get a female youth who has even 3 kids. They don't see themselves as youth, but the government, the definition of a youth is somebody who is between 18 and 35. Both male and female. And enumerated the major challenge of our youth as being unemployment, and also stated that they are the ones who are being accused of being the perpetrators of violence, and they are also engaged in criminality. But as a State Department, we believe that any population that coexists, our adults, our youth, if we coexist peacefully, then we will realize development for all. Now, the causes of youth involvement in crime varies, but the major cause is poverty, the high poverty levels that we are having. And then again, unemployment. You know, when somebody is not engaged constructively and is idle, obviously they are prone to do anything that can bring some income for them. And then we also have the use of drugs and substance abuse, and not living out peer pressure. Then the issue that I also wanted to bring to the fore is that, especially here in Kisumu, we are not out of the woods, especially when it comes to our youth being recruited into militia groups and criminality. It has been there during the electioneering period, at least this time around. Maybe the National Police Service will tell us what they have done that has enabled us not to have a lot of violence. Then again, there is also the proliferation of small arms. Kisumu being a key town, a major town in East and Central Africa, we are prone to having some small arms being smuggled through here. Now, generally, as I summarize, the initiatives that the government through the State Department has proposed and is initiating to solve the violence, the unemployment, and many youths engaging in criminality are found in the activities that are enumerated. Like if they are complaining they do not have access to finances, we already have the finances through Uwezo Fund, Youth Fund, Women Fund, and even GAF. If they are complaining of market again, here in Kisumu, there is a lot of market, especially for the projects that our youths are initiating. If somebody is engaged in agribusiness or even poultry farming, specifically, there will always be market. And then the other initiative has been to include our youths in peace building. There's a meeting that we attended, I think the sub-county peace committees. I raised the county and sub-county peace committees. We are expected to have youth representatives. Though, to us as a department, a youth representative should be somebody who is between that age bracket. And I doubt if our youths are in those committees. Because remember, Madam Commissioner, I attended the Good Samaritan Limani meeting. I think I raised the issue. But if our youths since they are the perpetrators, we expect majority of our youths to be in those committees, especially the borders and out of school youths. They should be part of it, and they should be the majority, and they should be seen in the leadership of such committees. And then again, the other issue maybe that I may want to raise is that we expect the duty bearers, especially the security apparatus, to enforce the existing laws so that youths are not just arrested for the sake of it, and if they are arrested, the evidence is produced in court and they are what? They are jailed. And most of the youths might complain that they are being harassed. So, in a nutshell, the last bit that I may also want to put across is that we expect for us to do away with violence. It has to be tackled through a multi-agency, not just one government or even at the exclusion of our CSOs. We should all be involved, and I believe that is why we are making some good progress. So with those many remarks, that would be my submission, and I hope that at the end of this session, we will have some tangible action plans that can bear fruits for us to realize lasting peace here in the country. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Awaj, for that introduction of the plan. And indeed, I think from the last sentiment, we need a multi-agency approach to ensure that we don't have any violence in the citizens to come this year's election. And moving on next swiftly and quickly from what the three speakers were spoken, you see the reason why we're here today, we just want to ensure how we can ensure that our children, women, youth, and people living with disability are safe. When the second speaker spoke about something regarding the capacity of this institution to tackle only 30% of the reported cases, what about the remaining 70%? And I think that's juncture I'll invite the Office of the County Police Commander at least to give us a brief in terms of the preparedness in this year's election. Karibu sana.
Good morning. My name is Titi Ayera. By way of grant, I'm a commissioner of police. I'm based at the Regional Police Command. So just a correction, I'm not from the county. My colleague Mango there is the one who is representing the county commander, Mr. Ongo. And we are happy to be invited here. And the reason why this is very important for us is that just before the new constitution, previously such meetings would be held at the exclusion of the police, and then reports would be rendered, probably castigating, even without giving us a fair opportunity to put in a few words on how prepared we are, so that you can contribute to the security that we provide. So first of all, I've been instructed by the Regional Police Commander, David Mozori, to come here at least so that we can have this engagement. I also was made to understand that this is not the initial engagement. We've had this process going on, and we want to build on the gains that we had in the previous engagements, so that we're able to deliver a peaceful, free, and fair election come 9th of August. I'm happy that my sister said that this meeting shouldn't end here, that we should build on this to continue this conversation even post the election. So let me give just a glimpse of this year's election preparedness in terms of the Nyanza region. First of all, Nyanza region, I'm talking about 6 counties. So it means my colleague Mano comes in because now he's the local, this is his home. So, first of all, pre-election preparations are already complete, and measures are already in place to provide robust security during this election. We've already
determine the number of polling stations, all the polling stations, and also put in place the number of officers who are required to ensure that they man those polling stations. The deficits that have been that were noted, we've already worked on it. Under Section 72 of the National Police Act, it empowers the Inspector General to gazette what we call special police officers. These are officers who are gazetted to exercise police powers for purposes of election security. And you can draw from Kenya prisons, you can draw from KWS and other sister security agencies, including NYS. And even as I speak, I want to submit that by 30th of June, already every sub-county commander has submitted their work plans to the county commander. And already in Nairobi being reviewed. For police, usually we never stop reviewing our processes until the D-Day. And most of you who have relatives probably in the listening service, you will see that even during parades, we continue going with the plane on the parade ground until the day now the reviewing officer comes and reviews the parade, and then you are allowed to proceed. So these work plans in police balance, or circles, we call them operation orders. And it lays out the procedures that we put in place to ensure that your mission is attainable. If there are, say, gaps, how are you going to fill those gaps? For instance, you will expect the county commander to have different challenges from the county commander Kisumu. So in other words, once the regional commander does his work, all these other county commanders have to draw from that mother plan to do their own work or operation order, taking into account the uniqueness of their terrain, uniqueness of people, and other security realities. So those ones are already dispensed with, and therefore we are very ready to go. And then we talk about, in terms of logistic issues also, we have addressed them. And we continue to look at areas that we need to probably to put in some more resources, and we are doing that. Logistics in terms of movement. How do we move police officers probably from the station to the polling, to the station house, to the polling center? And then how do the movement from the polling centers to the tallying centers? And all that until we have our result of issues of accommodations, welfare. When we talk about welfare matters, it's about health breaks, okay? Water, food, accommodation, and that kind of thing. And besides that, also emergencies. How do we take into account emergency situations? Now, the elephant in the room, I know, is this I left it for life. Mapping of possible travel areas. I would call them hotspots, let me call them travel areas. That one has already been done and is complete. However, in security balance, you don't lie on your laurels. You continue monitoring. If you, yesterday I had a visit by two delegates from AU, COMESA, these AU observers. And in fact, some of the issues that colleagues have been raised here are the ones that they were raising. For instance, even to ask me about what I'm putting in place to take care of street children in relation to election. So these are matters that we are considering, and we're engaging, and we're putting up corrective measures to ensure that come 9th August, that we still continue what we're doing. And so as to ameliorate the situation, and probably we are reaching out. We are engaging, like some of my colleagues have even mentioned about faith-based organizations, we're engaging with them. We have NGOs on the ground. and including even people living in disadvantaged suburbs of Kisumu, and probably people who may think they are they need more protection from ourselves. We also engage with our national government administrative officers. They're having peace meetings. The issue of small arms, for instance, also came about. And I want to tell you that we've already had a sitting with the Kenya officers from the Kenya National Focal Points who are business. They've already made us a visit. They gave us their findings, and we have factored that into our plans. We know which areas we need to be on the lookout, and which areas, and even some areas here, we don't expect small arms to be used, but crude weapons, the nuclear, the veins, spears, and the like. And I want to mention one thing that in as much 208, 207 was still very fresh to us, and we draw from those experiences to continue and strengthen our systems. Those who are following us on social media, you may have realized even the DCI was in Rwanda to do what? To open a meeting of the chiefs of cyber crimes units in the country. The DCI is the Interpol executive delegate for Africa, and therefore you can imagine how it weighs on him to ensure that investigation is not open. But then again, as just a word of as a departing note, the Inspector General Hilary Mutyambai is not only the Inspector General of Kenya, but also the President of the African General Assembly. And therefore all the continent is keen to see how he is going to deliver a peaceful, free and fair election. And therefore I want to give you assurances that we are set to go, but we want to be very open. Whenever you have information, please send it to us. We'll hold it in confidence. We have, nowadays you don't need even to come to the police station. If it's a police misconduct, internal affairs can be reached. I call my brother is there, and therefore for me, when I start, I would say, I'm ready to go. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. TG, for that brief that you've given us. I know as for now we have a glimpse of how the police are prepared for this year's election. I know for most of us who are here, maybe for those who are watching us from the online platform, I know we have a lot of questions we'd love to ask you. But I'm sure there's another session that is coming next. We'll have a chance to ask you those questions. Maybe before I call the next speaker, I just want to offer my public apology. I know I mentioned people living with disability. I'm sure we are supposed to be people with disability. Thank you so much for that. I want to know friends. Thank you. So in the next center, I'm going to invite the office of the county commissioner to give us their opening remarks. Karibu sana.
Okay, thank you. My name is Rose Nyapara. I'm the Assistant County Commissioner. I'm here representing the County Commissioner Kisumu. I thank the organizers for this meeting, for arranging this meeting. Mostly we have been having meetings with other partners talking about elections. And for today, we are going to talk about the children, women, and people with disability. The national government, we coordinate all other departments within the county, and also issues of women, children, and disability is one of the agendas which we do. recently we had a meeting with one of the girl team, and priority in our agenda was how are we going to safeguard women, children, and the vulnerable in the community. And we came up with some few issues like all the chiefs were involved to get a register of all the vulnerables in the community and get away how they are going to vote. Are they having means? Like the people living with the people with disability who are going to support them when taking them to the polling centers. So they must look for elders. They do civic education, voter education, and to get those who are going to help them in the polling stations. And another thing which we came up with, they are going to be given the first chance to vote. In all the polling stations, we are advocating for the vulnerable women and the people with disability to be given the first chance in all the polling stations so that they can vote early now and get be safe. Also, from our department, we've done with all the security agents. We've marked all hotspot areas in the county, and we are doing this civic education, voter education, and we have continuous meetings with most of the partners who are within this group and those ones outside who are all in other meetings who are not present here. And we have programs like as you heard from our director, Mr. Kaboj. We have the Cousin Tahani program involving all the needs. We have about 13,800 for the county. We are working, so we have minimized the crime rate because most of them are coming from the informal settlement, and nowadays the Cousin Tahani, we are having them in all the sub-counties, the 8 sub-counties within Kisumu. From my brother who has just moved out here, there are trainings going on with the police. They are doing training on how to handle electoral crimes. So right now, they are well aware of how to handle all the offenders if they will be in 9th August. At the county also, we have the Gender Center Working Group, which deals with where the chair is the county commissioner, we co-chair with the governor. So, and most of our CSOs who are present here are part of that group. We deal with all the issues which are reported, and also which are reported on gender issues. But I urge the county government, if they are present here, we need safe spaces for our children, our girls. So in future, we should look at our budgets and build those safe spaces within Kisumu so that our girls and women can be safe. And I also report in every police station there is a gender desk and a gender officer who are trained to deal with gender issues. We thank you, and I now officially open this meeting for discussion. Thank you.
since you're leaving. So can you, Bishop, you can come and give us your remarks. Well, Bishop, please a bit. Sorry, I thought it's supposed to be a panel. Yeah, sorry for that, Bishop. Sorry, you can now come. We're just confirming some few things because I see it's only 15 minutes. I'm trying to check on our time. We have really spent a lot of our time. So I'll give each speaker at most 2 minutes so that you can move to the next item. Karibu, Bishop.
Good morning, everyone. Praise the Lord. We this church, we usually like to praise the Lord because every time and again we have to praise the Lord. It's the Lord that made us wake up this morning. Praise the Lord. Bwana asifiwe. Bwana asifiwe tena. I didn't mention my name. Whoever was not there, in case somebody was not there when I was mentioning my name when we started. I'm Archbishop Emeritus Dr. Bakunyanga Bogno of Church of Christ in Africa of Interreligious Council of Kenya. Also a member of the Executive Committee of the NCCK. So just had, I'm supposed to be leaving to Nairobi to attend a meeting like this, and particularly on peace and the state of the nation. The NCCK will move tomorrow, so I'll be leaving in the afternoon. Supposed to be around 3 o'clock. So, thank you very much, the organizers, for having given me this opportunity also to comment on what we have today here. Thank you very, very much, the organizers. We as a church, I'll speak of the church, we as a church, we are trying very much to educate our people, our church followers, in our churches, wherever we are, in the funerals or in the churches, to really be friendly, avoid violence, and also protect those who, according to this, women, children, or girl child, or boy child, or disabled people, very much in our churches. What we need to do is that, like this time we approach general elections, we in the church, we really avoid very much. We advised our various leaders of other churches, or any other churches, particularly organizations, umbrella organizations of the churches, that the church should not allow a lot of political, speeches in their funeral or church, congregations. When me, in particular, when I'm presiding over a funeral, I usually don't give them chance to have to change that, funeral as a political rally. No, and also I know that our friends, politicians, they fear the word of God. Most of them fear the word of God. They word of God. When you give them chance to speak first, and after speaking, they run away with the people. When I go, people run away with them. And then the abusive language they use, sometimes their followers fight. So one, we avoid that whenever, because they are also our people, they also come to the funeral, we always advise them only to convey their condolences, the grieved family, and then if they are aspirants, want to say some so and so, and I'm aspiring for final child, full stop, that's all. They don't have to say that they have to attack their opponents. No, we don't want that. Because when they attack their opponents, and they are, start fighting, or they fight, but they start running away, start fighting. So we tell them not to do that. So that's and also in our churches also. We don't say that they should not come to church. They should come to church, yes, because they really need the word of God. All of us need the word of God. Our brothers and sisters here, all of us, and particularly the politicians and leaders really need the word of God, because those who want discipline, or those who are God-fearing people, usually they become good leaders. Because they have their supervisor, unseen supervisor, which is God. If you realize that there's someone supervising you, you cannot even engage in corruption. Because you know wherever you sit, God is there with you, God is supervising you. So we usually want them to be present where we are so that they can hear about God. What I usually do myself, I preach first before I give them a chance to speak. I preach first. God knows when they speak, they run away. So I preach first. I don't say I'm not going to give you a chance. You have to sit down and preach first, and then after preaching is when I allow them to go away. We do not want that scenario we saw in the year 2007, 2008 to be here again with us in this country. Me, I was a victim, and I know how bad it was. I was in South Nyanza, Migori County, and I was an IDP there for more than 1 week. I could not come back to school. And when with my team of 4 people, I had my church auditor, and I also had my women leader, and also the church leader of the youth. When we started coming to Kisumu and we were brought away, we were told they were almost banning my car. They said, ban that car. Why should this car come around? We are not happy. And these people are happy to ban that car. Then I was rescued by policemen who were around there. They told me to go back where I came from. I had to run back to where I came from. I ran back to a place called Marewa, where I came from. Then I was there for over 1 week. We exhausted all the food in that home where we were. There was no food now. I could not come back to school. I was rescued by the DC of Rongo. That time was Tosia. Tosia, I think, is now somewhere in the media. The Tosia was the DC Rongo that time, and the PP of Nyanza. When I contacted them, they gave me escort from that place back to Kisumu that time. And I was told I would have died in case I started my journey. I was told at Ranen, the junction of Ranen for Mawendo, but people have been killed there. So we will not pass Ranen, go back to where we came from. So I was a victim, and I would not like such a thing. So my brothers and sisters, we should encourage everyone to promote peace in this our country. Everyone to promote peace. And the gender violence, as we just had amongst our people. You will agree with me that last time when you were going to school, you are going to school to learn some discipline. But these days, things have changed. Those they send our children to school, but some of them don't go to learn discipline. They learn in discipline. You find that most the people probably when they go to higher class or maybe university or they think part of indiscipline is part of what they went to learn at school. So it's up to us also as parents to make sure that we come closer to our children. Particularly when they are in the holidays, when they come up to it, let's be very close to our children. In our church, I questioned myself when I was in the church. How come when we have Sunday school, particularly Sunday school choir, then you'll find girls in the Sunday school choir can give them more than 3/4 of the Sunday school choir are girls. And we find only 2-3 boys in the choir, and not even that one. Even the adults. When I was also in a function just 2 days ago, you find a choir with over 3/4 are women, and only a few people are men. Because men are really, ignored going to church. So me, I could appeal to you that let us go back to our God. And since I'm here and me, a preacher, I'm not going to preach, but I'm referring to some verses in the Bible. The verse in the Bible, Jesus says in the book of John 15:7. John chapter 15, verse 7 says, if you commit everything, John 15 says, whatever you ask, if you are in me, that's Jesus himself says, Abide in me and I abide in you. And you abide in me and abide in you, whatever you ask, you shall be given. Now we are asking for peace. So we are asking for peace. Let us be God-fearing people. Let's abide in God. And whatever we ask in God's name, it shall be given. That's what the Bible says. And then the Bible also tells us in the book of Proverbs 16:3 that commit all your works to the Lord, and your thoughts shall be established. Commit all your works in the Lord, then your thoughts shall be established. So my fellow brothers and sisters, let us go back to God, because whatever is happening today, all this happenings used not to happen before. Now what all these people killing lovers, wives killing their husbands, husbands killing their wives. It used not to happen that way, but rate it is happening that. And these days are now here, even men or our brothers raping their own children. Somebody pregnant his own children, a child of 14 years, 17 years, then he was taken to court and pleaded guilty. It was nailed for 40 years for each pregnancy. 40 years each pregnancy. Pregnancy of the other girl, pregnancy of the girl, 40 years, 8 years total. Maybe you heard about it. Such things never used to happen because people have really ignored the word of God. And God is talking like that. We go back to God. We go back to God and appeal to you and appeal to you people. Talk to your neighbors. Even you here, talk to your neighbors and you yourselves. Go back to God. And that's what we are preaching in our churches, that we should go back to God. Because the God is telling us when we go back here, tukienda kwake, tukijengekea kwa Mungu, kama tuna janga like this ambayo tunayo hii ya corona na makadhalika and all these misunderstandings and all these things, now tukienda kwake, tukimwomba Mwenyezi Mungu atatusamehe dhambi zetu na ataokoa nchi yetu. He will save our land. That's I'm appealing to you, and that's with better. Now really go to that. Then loneliness. Let us also avoid loneliness. If you have some problem, share it with the neighbor. Share it. Come to church. We have quite a number of cases, people coming to me to tell me whatever problem they have. Then I do some counseling for them. The church leaders, we are really telling our people and our pastors in counseling. Let them go to the church, they get necessary counseling, and they not commit suicide. They will save themselves, they will also save their family. So loneliness is so very, very dangerous. They live, don't die. If you have a lot of problems, don't die with all those, whatever you think about. Go back, go to church, go to your pastor, get to him, and also go to you. Just advise your people also and the neighbors, whenever they have any problems, to share their problems they have with their pastors and even their neighbors. Once the problem is shared, you get relief. You share your problem with whoever, you get relief. That's very, very important to us as church. And that's what we can say. And thank you very much for these, the organizers of this forum here. And also encourage our children, also advise you, and also your neighbors' children, to take your children when they are still young to the church. When they are still young to the church, so that they can grow up when they are disciplined. Itakuwa vigumu kupenda yeye kama amekuwa mtu mkubwa, anza akiwa mtoto. Asante sana, Mungu awabariki. God bless you, and let us go back to God when it is not too late.
Thank you so much, Bishop. Yeah, thank you so much for that. I think next on the program, I'm going to invite Ann Rasa, who is going to lead us in the next session. Madam Ann, kindly karibu. Makofi yake yakija tafadhali.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Ann Baraza, State Department for Gender, as the County Director Kisumu. We are going to have a panel discussion, and I'm going to invite Nyakwara is coming to represent the County Commission. So please come forward. Then we'll ask the commissioner from the regional commander's office, please, let's follow protocol. Thank you. Then I think we should put them in front here so that they can please, in the front of the table. Then I'm requesting Director Nakada to come over. And then do you have a representative from UNICEF? A representative from UNICEF? Huh? The Bureau of Authority are not here. Yeah. Save the children. Someone from Teresa. Teresa, you're here to save the children. Has arrived. And I want it arrived, so we'll have this enough for us for today. Yeah, are you seeing them? Huh? Watu wengi wamepotelea kwa simu. You are able to see them? Yes. Oh, Madam UNICEF has arrived. Thank you. This UNICEF, just come on time. Thank you. You are one of our panelists, so and your seat is empty. Everybody's like you. Yeah. So we are having a discussion, and I'm going to give each one of us, because of time. Thank you, Madam Administrator. Forgive me for wishing you. It's not I wish all of them. Actually, they didn't even come in here. But this is work they do every day, so there was nothing to prepare about it. Because these are things you know. We are not telling you to say something that you don't know. We are only asking you to tell us what you know. And we are looking at the issue of violence and how we are going to. We are starting to talk about several things. You just respond to the issues that were raised. I would wish to request like Madam from Nakada to tell us the impact of violence on the mental health of women and children, especially the youth. In relation to what you do, the issues of drugs, and that will also request Madam Wambui. Oh, Wambui. Thank you. Wambui. Okay, Wambui. It's okay. You will also tell us about how violence affects the growth of children, even in their later life as adults. Exposure to violence and how it affects children as they grow up. Then I will request our commander to just outline for us the process of seeking justice and accountability for victims or survivors of violence, and especially in relation to elections. In case of post-election violence, it has happened. We are really praying. Bishop has been telling us here we pray. We are really praying that it doesn't happen. But just in case it does happen, what is the procedure that those who go through violence, what is the procedure they can follow? What is the justice process? That's why I told you there's nothing to prepare about. These are things we know. And then I will request the County Commissioner's office, who are in charge of collaboration and networking on behalf of government, to just tell us how the government is collaborating and involving every one of us in this preparedness during these elections in order to prevent the election violence. And then our sister, you will also vote for what is the state of the children of Kisumu in relation to violence? How is the involvement? How is the awareness? Thank you. So I'm going to you're not listening soon. Oh no, I thought you were soon. Then we'll excuse you. Yes, we'll excuse you. Thank you. So, and I needed I think I'll come in to just talk about the issue of safe house and what have you, because I work for the county, I work for the State Department for Gender, and I know something about what is going on with the issues. But where can we refer this to in case violence takes place? So I will want to begin with Madam Akada. You come back. Yeah? Okay. But we wanted what is happening in Kisumu, so that we expose the state of children prepared. How are the children involved? Then we have the children's officer, please.
Or she cannot talk nationally.
Nationally.
Yes. It's okay.
No, next group. I'm having two panel discussions. That's why I'm giving this was 5 minutes each to do a presentation on the areas I've talked about, and then we'll ask questions, and if there be any questions. So, where do I begin? Who I started with first? I think she's prepared mentally to do the presentation. Madam Director, Nakada.
Thank you for the opportunity. For those who didn't get to know my name is Esther Kenya, and I work with the National Authority for the Campaign Against Alcohol and Drug Abuse.
Madam, you are a bit soft.
My name is Esther Kenya. I work for the National Authority for the Campaign Against Alcohol and Drug Abuse. I'm based here in Kisumu, but I man the 6 counties of Nyanza. The patient is on violence and mental health. To me, I twist it so that it favors what I do, and that is drugs, mental health, and violence, and safe environments. We, as Akada, did a survey in 2017, and among the things that we were looking for is the state of alcohol and drug abuse in the counties. One major, nationally, we are at 10.2% in terms of substance abuse disorders. And substance use disorders means that somebody has taken drugs such that they are taking that person to need some kind of assistance so that he's dealing with his mental health. Mental health means that here we are talking about addiction. When we are talking about addiction, it means that the person cannot do away or do without the drug of choice until some interventions are put in place, and even when that person recovers, he has been ruined for life. In that, one small test may lead to relapse. And therefore, when we are talking about violence and mental health, then we are talking about these people who are affected, who are 10.4 to 14 14% who are in need of mental care. Mental care in the real, or seeing a psychologist or a psychiatrist in order to manage their drug intake. Then, when we look at violence, I look at violence as a three dimension. In the sense that all these, the person who is taking drugs predisposes his immediate family and neighbors into some kind of mental torture. In the sense that when you are in your house and your child is the one who is abusing, you don't know when you will get the TV disappearing. You don't know when you will come and get everything broken. You don't know when your child will carry a panga on you or the sibling or a neighbor's child, or when they will go out on a riot and start abusing your neighbor's children sexually or even psychologically. That is a mental torture on the parent, and that is the state of the parent is not well. Then even the state of the siblings is not well. Or unto you, if it is the father who is abusing the drugs, the woman becomes the kicking box, and that is violence meted against her. That is violence meted against the whole family. Everybody is abused right, left, and center. The state of their minds are not, they cannot make any decisions without thinking of the repercussions. They will go to work, but their mental state is what type of home are we going back to. They will go to school, but what state of home environment are we going back to? So you get these children depressed if they are in school. You get the teacher not teaching well, the worker in the office not working well, because the state of the home environment is not a safe environment for them. And if illicit or as they deal in drugs in that home, then we put a lot of danger to our children, especially the girl child. We were carrying out some life skill education in some schools in Kisumu County, and one of the findings that we made that is important from Oguba's lands was that the girls are made to sell the alcohol that is in their homes, not because they choose it as their trade, but then they will be refused to take food because they have not contributed to do what? To get it. They will also be sexually molested by the drinkers who come there. And the mothers don't see it as an issue. Why? Because their mental state is not well. So that is inflicting mental issues on your children because you yourself do not know what is right and what is wrong. So the trend,
just interrupt you. Is there any correlation between the mental health of the perpetrators of violence with the elections? Because you told us drugs.
Now, when we are in this period that we are in, when we are coming to address the issues of peace, when we look around, there is free money or cheap money going around in our campaigns, and most of the targets are youth who are given money, and the easiest thing to do whatever we see them doing is getting high. in whatever form. When they get high, their mental state is not right, and therefore they are forced to do things that they could ordinarily not do because their mental state or their reasoning power has been taken charge of, and violence is very, very easy. And they met violence in the society. Be it your mother or be it your relative, you don't care. What you only care is getting your opinion, however wrong it is, to be heard. And your candidate of the day, because they are just for her, your candidate for the day being heard. And therefore, these are not good judgments that are made under the influence of
Okay, maybe we'll ask our police commissioner to tell us, discuss with us the process of how are these people who are now exposed to violence, how will they seek justice? What is the process?
During a period, violence is visited upon you when you are aware of it and report the incident. This is for recording purposes. Remember, it is police are usually the first contact in any crime, and therefore it is set off the process of collecting evidence. So your report will be booked in the OB by the report office personnel. The OB will be perused by those units, and those units will allocate the case to an officer to investigate that case. If it is, say, a case of a vulnerable person, an officer who is suited for that duty will be allocated that case. Okay, say it's a child, somebody who has been trained and specializes in handling children will be the one who will okay. And once the file is complete, it will be quiet to the ODPP for perusal. If the ODPP is satisfied that the police investigator covered all the areas that need to be covered, that's the time now the court prosecutorial process now is coming. And in terms of the three groups we talk about, if it's children, the children don't need to report themselves. The caregiver can do that. They can also report through an intermediary or a friend. So we should not have a case whereby we are saying a child was not accorded justice because there was nobody to assist him. Now, and assuming the violence was perpetrated by a police officer, again, a similar procedure can be followed and is usually followed. But there is more into it. So there's a lot of latitude that we were gained because we have internal affairs in it. Internal affairs in it are already involved. And even as we speak, I know the director, Mr. Mohamed Amin, was even around sometimes during the weekend at the sea, just to have a feel of the ground and see how we can further evolve it to the very lowest level. The advantage that we're having is that beside the physical visit to, say, internal affairs offices, we also have toll-free calls that you can make. And not only that, if you are in, say, fear, previously, anonymous complaints would be ignored. Under the present dispensation and the mechanism and this SOP that has been placed by the Director of Internal Affairs, they take on board every form of complaint. And once a file is ready, it will be transmitted to the Office of the Inspector General for considerations. And then it ends up at the ODPP. The Internal Affairs also work hand in hand with IPOA. And why do IPOA come in? In certain instances, victims become apprehensive that probably because of the the nexus between the internal affairs unit and the office of the Inspector General. They may feel not just the process. This is where now we often try to decide to allow IPOA to conduct the process. But even IPOA themselves, while they feel internal affairs unit is well suited, they usually transmit the file down. And once the file is complete again, it goes to the audit for perusal and the record as provided for the
Thank you so much. I think you have clarified how the process of seeking justice for survivors, whether the violence was meted by mwananchi wa kawaida or the police themselves. And the next session we're going to have the IPOA, I'm sure they're going to clarify more, because people here are going to report the police to the police station. How do I go to the police station to report to the police? How do I report a police to another police officer? That becomes, and sometimes we know that they themselves can become source of violence. They have also been mentioned several times. So I'm going to invite Madam County Commissioner to tell us about how they are coordinating the networking, the collaboration process of everyone involved, all the stakeholders involved in Kisumu to prevent violence. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Baraza. In Kisumu County, for the national government, we have coordinated all the security and other stakeholders to keep peace. We started with the party nominations, and which went well. We did not have issues, and we were only giving security for them to choose. And the next one, we have various options which our county commissioners and even the regional commissioners and the DCCs have been having options with some radio media, social media, on peace. And again, we have been having peace caravans, mostly in Kisumu West and Moroni with the Nandi and Nyakach with the Perito part. Those are the areas we are thinking we need help because of the party issues. They may have issues, but we have been having peace talks with our counterparts, and we will be having peace making also. We have security meeting and multi-agency stakeholders meeting within the sub-counties, which our officers and some of our partners present here are attending. To look for ways and sharing information for early warning and after. And also, within the sub-counties and even the county, our administrators have been having, they have meetings with the candidates where they sign peace accords and they are informed to keep peace. And also, they are informed by we coordinate with IPC and the party, and they are taken through the electoral process and the laws which govern the process, so that they can follow the law while they are doing that. And again, we are going to have, or we have, the command centers in each sub-county. Here they are going to report in case there is anything which is happening. And we have toll-free numbers. The first one was monitored, that was 988, to report any incident which happens anywhere. And we have the 911 from the police, and there are so many toll-free numbers from even our partners. The Queen Chaplain's office, they have one where they report any cases. But in due course, we are going to give you more numbers. Lastly, as I said earlier, we are going to mark all the vulnerables in the community using the Nubakumi, the the local chief to know those people who need assistance to the police center and also to be assisted so that we can go through it out what we are going to work. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think it's very clear on how they have been working. If anyone with a question, I'll give them a chance. So we can give you some, and we're going to.
Good morning, good afternoon, colleagues. My name is Ongoi Karanja. I'm the chief of the UNICEF field office based here in Kisumu, and I'll try to answer this question as best as I can. But you're very right, this is children is the business of UNICEF, so this should be part of what we do every day. A good question about how violence affects children and their development. I'd even say that violence is not good for anybody, but more so when it comes to children. And in the context of my response, I'll be looking at 0 to 18 years. Constitutionally, children in the country are 0 to 18 years. If we look at the formative years, which is 0 to 7 years, these are the years of a child's development. 0 means from when a child is in the baby up to the age of 7. These are the most critical years for children, where they need really to be protected and to be put in very safe spaces and around safe people they deem to be safe for their development. So when there is violence, and violence, we also need to talk about the different forms of violence. You have physical violence, you have emotional violence, and also sexual violence. All these, when they are meted against children, the impact is huge, and for many children, if they don't get assistance, if they don't get interventions, they are scarred for life. We know that emotional violence, for instance, will cause psychological, emotional problems. That's where it will physically manifest as depression. There's even depression in children, and I think this is something that parents and caregivers need to become more familiar with. You find that they can have delinquent behavior. You find that they will have learning problems in school. And then later on in life as well, they in turn do become bullies. Studies on bullies show that children themselves went through very traumatic experiences and went through violence at some point. And then of course we have those children who are exposed to violence becoming more susceptible to drug abuse, alcohol abuse, even criminal activities. So on the whole, violence is not helpful for children. You might even find children who have multiple personalities because they learn to cope from a very young age. They learn to develop coping mechanisms. So you can find issues like lying or stealing or cheating or just not being a truthful individual, mainly because it was a coping mechanism when they were exposed to violence. So I would say it is not helpful in anybody's development, least of all children. When we look at the older children, boys and girls, of course for girls there's the obvious one that sexual violence leads to so many things. We are talking about sexually transmitted diseases and then also teen pregnancy. And we know that teen pregnancy makes children drop out of school. Of course, we are proud to be in a country that has got a return to school policy, but still, it is a disruptive thing. When you're a child, you're a child. You should be allowed to grow as a child and make the decision yourself once you become an adult to become a parent. So when there is sexual violence and children under 18 become mothers, it is disruptive. It's just not that stage in their life. And it is disruptive in many forms. And I also need to mention that, remember that children are not homogeneous, We have children who are living with HIV, we have children with disability, we have children who come from extremely poor households, we have children with different sexual orientations, and so these are children who, in addition to the violence, face also other challenges and circumstances that push them further to the periphery and the fringes of life. And it's for this reason the national government is developing a national parenting guidelines. I think a lot of you may have heard about it. Parenting guidelines. This is really to teach parents how to raise children. There's a huge focus on early childhood development. There's a program of that are called nurturing care for ECD, for early childhood development, which really focuses on safety of children. It focuses on health in those early years, nutrition in those early years, safety in those early years. And so I would say that violence against children is really a very negative thing that happens with children, and because they are defenseless, they take it, but the impact is felt in these ways that I have been mentioning. Let me also say that violence is usually meted by people who are familiar to children, and that is an added complexity when it comes to violence on children. It is their caregiver, their parent, their grandmother, their grandfather, their uncle. It is somebody in school, somebody in church. And so the negative impact is that you can grow up knowing as a child that this is normal, but it's not normal, and therefore it's very important to have this conversation and this dialogue. And importantly, I think for the colleagues that are in the room, we need to make much more effort in capturing these violence cases. I think we need to do a better job in working with the Child Protection Information Management System. It is here in Kisumu. It has been rolled out throughout the country, but only certain forms of violence are captured on that system. Hardly are the sexual ones captured. Hardly are those touching on the physical being or body of a child. Those are usually not captured. If it is captured, then it is under the health system. You'll find it because a child has gone for services, or you'll find it in the security personnel because a case has been reported. But I think we need to become better at reporting these cases and, of course, following them through so that justice is sought for those who are affected. Thank you.
Thank you, Agui. And before we give them a clap, I think we've done a good job. But anyone has a question to ask, because she has talked very well about children and exposure to violence and what it leads, but it makes them also perpetrators of violence.
Yes.
They become themselves okay. Is somebody has a question you want to ask? Somebody else has a question? Anybody else? I want to see the questions. There are two. Okay. Please say who you're asking as you ask. Can I have someone to help the microphone here? Somebody else the question. Let's take all the questions so that we will distribute them accordingly. You can respond.
Swali langu ya kwanza ni Said Juma Mabala, inaenda kwa Nakada. Je, hii watoto ambao tunaita street boys, saizi unapata wingi wako hapa opposite Imperial Hotel. Gamu, kila mtu ana gamu na kunywa gamu wamelewa na ni riski. kuwa ule anaivuta gamu akifikisha miaka 25 lazima atakufa. Je, nakada inafanya nini kuhusu hawa watoto? Swali la pili, tunaanza kwa county commander. Tumekuwa prepared na early warning yale tunaipata kwa ground. Saizi tanisamee, nitaeleza kwa sababu ukipeleka kule juu utaona ni ambayo inaendelea, na hiyo ndio inapiga sana. Je, mikakati gani mmepanga kwa wale jamii ambayo majirani zetu ama mandugu zetu ambao wanatoka kwa jamii fulani, na saizi hapa Kisumu Wanani pale Wanani wanaishi pale Wanani wanaishi mingi, na hizi kabila zingine kutoka Western pia wanakaa, ambayo pia wana mandugu zao na mandugu zetu wengine wanaosimama kwa pati zingine, na inaendelea saizi kuwa ndio ambayo cheche ambayo inaanza. Saa zile kura itakapopigwa, wakipata ya kuwa hapa Nyanza UDA amepata kura 120 huwa wana target wale jamii, sababu ni mtoto wao yuko pale pangine. Na nyingine ambayo pia inaendelea sasa, tunafaa kuangaliwa kwa vizuri. Kuna mama natembea hapa, nimetembea Mlimani, ameweka posters zake ni women rep, simjui, lakini ukienda kila mahali ambapo vijana wamekaa wanamnunukia huyu mama, sababu amesimama na pati cha UDA. Huyu Tungegona anaweza Tungegona tena, tafadhali huyu mama pale anakaa lazima irudikwe, sababu ndio the talk of the day. Ukienda pale ambao hao bado wanamfanya kuwa wanazungumza habari za siasa, na hii inaonekana cheche. Alafu nyingine, wakati election tunaenda kwa kura, baada ya kupiga kura, tafadhali hakikisha wale ofisa zako watu watoke waondoke. Na habari ya celebration ndio inaleta shida. Kisumu hapa inakuwa shida, watu wanakuwa ferried from other places, hawaelewi, na saa zile inaanza unafikiria una celebrate them the king of the violence. Na watanitenga mimi kama kusema kama nijalia kimtu wanipigi. Utasikia wale ambao wako Kibira wakisikia kuwa Babala amepigwa mahali tena huko wameanza, na tayari ita spread. Kwa hiyo mikakati hiyo tafadhali wekeni kwa uzuri. Hiyo ni jambo.
I think those are the questions that we have. We responded. There's another question from
my question goes to the children. Finally, state player is what is put in place in relation to the entire children, because in the last presentation, the children were asking so much, and they were just people are just running around and some of the children left school for a period of time because they were seeing their parents, like let me say for instance, the people were affected, at least what they got from the children. So the child would cry and maybe ask the family household, why are you beating my friend? And where are they gone? So the child becomes worried, and for a period of time the child will go to school. So he comes on the end, how have you attracted the children's home at the council? And in terms of psychological support, what are the strategies put in place to support these children? Because when you look at the police side, they really have to strategize how they are going to manage the violence, all numbers and everything. But for your case, it's not good. In terms of Nakata, you also stated how the offenders, so the drug abusers affect families. But they are the most documented, especially in terms of violence. And because they are driven with drugs, so it means that you at least have to clarify that in terms of how they are driven by drugs. Because as they are both by the way
people who have participated in violence, they are first given the facts, maybe fake or something, and then now they become appeared. So kindly, in terms of your network, what are clear strategies put in place that will ensure that these offenders are put into effect?
All right. So we will go through that. If there's another set of questions, there's another group coming, so we can hold it and then we'll respond to them finally.
Let me address the concerns of my sister on the slow pace of seeking justice in relation to sexual violence. As police officers, we have gender-based and children-based, which
Let's movement, please.
These tests are set there to prioritize SPDD, violation of ladies, violation of children, and vulnerable groups. And they are manned by specially trained police officers. Police officers who can empathize with the victims, police safety officers who can extract the evidence that we require for us to put the perpetrators behind bars. And I just want to indicate that oftentimes it's not the doing of the police investigators to be very cases. Remember, in gender-based violence, and you are not the only player. You have various players. You've got to wait for the doctor's report, for instance. And sometimes, if you don't have a doctor who is experienced enough to assist this person, we may find we may have a difficult. Sometimes you've got to wait for results. What the government came is assuming there were evidence that were expected need. So it's not our doing, but what we've done to remedy that, we've been having effective meetings. Because once each and every individual knows the outcome to make in either realization or completion of justice, then that becomes an interest at least to make us now work more. Also to make an indication that the community policy gender and children director, Madam Beauty Lamek, actually has already activated a process at the headquarters to ensure that these cases are fast-tracked. And most of you I know may be familiar with the launch of our policy of Polycare. Why did the Inspector General come out with this report? It's so that these such cases can be fast-tracked. And the intention and novel is to ensure that all these criminal justice players are housed in the same facility, or what we call a one-stop facility. That the IO is working with the doctors, with the ODTP and the patient, without compromising what we call independence of these institutions. And I want to believe I have addressed that issue sufficiently, but if not, you can still make an act. In terms of peace settlements, ndugu yangu wamesema kwamba yeye ndio kabila la Kirudi na kwamba labda kwamba kidogo sio kitu kingine kwa. We are aware of such situation, we are aware and along the areas we don't we have intermarriages. We have people who are family who are and how do we go to property. One thing that I want us to understand is that your friends, you can partner with them, but the neighbor knows there was like that neighbor. And that's why my county commissioner here talked about all those things that we are engaging. We want to know that this is not the last thing we are having. And for me, as a security person, what I'm doing is that I also have my men and women on the ground, collecting intelligence, and also reaching out. We don't want just to be viewed as people who the only time we interact with you is at a police station when you're in trouble. We want to get out to you before either somebody violates you or the other. I'm aware of the case we just cited. I've gone around, I've seen even the facing of posters and material. That's a feeling of things, punishable by law. And my brother comes from the county here, we take up the issue. What we can do, we can intensify patrols. We can have people, I'm a friendly eyes out there to pick out these people so that they can be good. Again, on the issue of settlement again, in terms of when, after the result is announced and they find that they have, say, 100 votes, then they start saying, this 100 votes must be coming from people. That's an issue that already we are giving those of security eye. And remember, even once the police come from the polling station, they go to the talent center. So that gives me an additional personnel which have been freed because their duty was to man the polling station. So I have prepared for that. I have additional personnel that have been now released and I can use those against to bolster security around the settlement or district and also their non-property.
Thank you. I think he has addressed concerns. Madam, there was a special place for you.
There was a question over the women involvement in peace from the county. We are working with all partners. Even if it's not a meeting like this one, we have forum. Yesterday we had one, the DCC is had one at Nalenda, social hall. And if it's a baraza, all stakeholders are united. It's free. It's free. All the chiefs, the elders are now. And you are there to ask any question. But if you wait to get an invitation from such barazas and forums, you miss out. But even if you go and attend, you will see your concerns will be addressed. We have been working with so many CSO, like the local capacities, champions of peace, women concerns, WOBO. And even there, we have a list of eminent women leaders within the country and men. Okay? They have been inviting us for those meetings of theirs and we address them with their issues of women. So,
I think women are highly involved. So please quickly address that question of macadam and drugs. The strategy.
The issue of street waste is a giant that maybe the children's topic should address. But going back, there are several reasons why they are street waste. Some of them it's not because they are born in the streets. Some of them is because the society has rejected them or wants to disengage them, and they therefore find a home in the street. And to cope with, I think, the cold and the hunger, they result into taking down. However, as NACADA, we work in collaboration with other agencies to address these issues, especially where the migration comes from. Therefore, there are some cases that were reported to our own enforcement officers, and they are dealing with them. Yes, you say in school that once you take it down, you do not live for long. Therefore, that is a health issue, and that is where we are addressing it, and it should be addressed from a health perspective. We have been in collaboration with the civil society, especially on the rehabilitation of the street boys, so street children. We have another network of the studio who are also taking in some of the street boys. And in fact, I have to report here that one of the street boys that was sent by one of our studios represented the country in Vienna, having been identified to be a black candidate. And today, he's in Swan University. So, yes, we are doing something. But it's not maybe what we are doing is not good enough. Or what we are doing, those others are saying that I can't be able to even go to that stage. So we should identify the cases and give responsibility. My sister here asked for what to do with the members who give the user that we have a lot of cases. All of you know that the 2010 Act of Alcoholic Disease Control. One of the ways that it controls the issue of alcohol is that we should not give alcohol as part of the meal. That is what we law says. But now, using the law and enforcing it because it is not every time that my brother will be not speaking what they are doing. This is my group. Now you take this issue, it's not possible for me to do that. So self-regulation should start from the
Thank you. I want to spare our boy for that question because the children department are coming in the next, and that's the area they are going to address. I know the question that she asked will be addressed in the next group. Thank you so much. Can we give them a clap? Thank you, my panelists. Thank you. What?
Because we are really involved in everybody trying to speak, and that is why Nakada, in collaboration with others, are organizing youth learning for drawn from all over the county, drawn from all over the county on Friday to discuss issues of peace and also guarding against being used as the ones who are perpetrating violence against others.
Thank you.
Okay, I just want to add, in Kassim every morning, we have priests. Morning priests, we have actors who go there and give priests on election, on this election, and many other topics.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. At least we hear the strategies that are being put in place. Our next group that is going to help us in this, giving us some information. I want to welcome Sharia from my home, and then Children Department. Children Department. Who is here? The Children Department. Please come over. There's a question that was asked. I want you to address that question on the strategies that you are putting in place. Your senior is who? I don't know him. The senior is here. Please, senior. Children Department. And then, Madam, we had asked Madam to also come. And then I will also sit here now as a panelist to address the issue of the safe houses and the shelters. And we are asking IPOA to tell us the role of the independent institutions in safeguarding access to justice. There was a question somebody asked, and it could also maybe be emphasized. In case the police are the perpetrators of violence, how does IPOA help the survivors of that violence? Those two areas address it. Then, sir, I don't remember your name. Patrick, I wanted you to tell us the strategies the Department of Children is putting in place to address the issue of children and violence and exposure of children exposure to drugs. The issue of street children there has been mentioned that you have so many of them hapo mbele ya hiyo hoteli inaitwa nini? Imperial. Yeah, and so forth. Then our sister, I don't remember your name, Teresa, you will highlight to us how do we fight stigma? How do we fight stigma and discrimination of survivors of violence, especially children and women? How do we help them to overcome stigma associated with the violence meted on them? And how do we help them to speak up? Thank you so much. So we start with IPOA. And because of time, I'm giving you only 5 minutes. You know, you're already in lunch break and people already have cards. Okay,
thank you very much, Madam.
Okay, thank you so much. Maybe I want to just mention the name again. My name is Sharia Mameti. I work with the Internet Authority based here in Kisumu, based at the regional office. Maybe I just need to explain a little bit about what we do as an authority. IPOA is independent policing oversight authority. IPOA came into being as a result of or through an act of parliament, that is Act number 35 of 2011, and IPOA came into being to give effect to Article 244 of the Constitution. The article basically talks about police striving for the highest standards of professionalism and discipline, and we also expect the police to practice and promote transparency and accountability. So basically, what IPOA does is it holds the police to account in terms of those standards. We wish to have the police to uphold those standards structured in the Constitution. In a nutshell, what we do as an authority, we perform various functions, but the main functions that we do perform include investigations. We receive complaints from members of the public, and these complaints must be against members of the National Police Service because our mandate limits us to the police. So we receive complaints from members of the public and complaints touching on members of the National Police Service, and we do carry out investigations. We also do what we refer to as monitoring. We monitor police operations, and as you are all aware, we are nearing the elections. And that is an example, that is one of the operations that we do monitor as an authority. What we do during such operations, for example, during elections, we don't monitor the election. We monitor the conduct of the police as they man, for example, the polling centers for the voting stations. So we do look at how the police are conducting themselves as they handle the members of the public. Then the last major function of the authority is to carry out inspections. We do inspect police premises, and when I talk about police premises, obviously we think about the cells, we think about the police buildings, we think about the training institutions. So we monitor and come out with a report recommending on how these centers or these police establishments can be improved. For example, the cells, we feel that the cell is a place that is always inhabited by a human being, and therefore the standards should be those that the conditions should be habitable at least. So those are the three main functions that we do perform as an authority, in addition to many others, but those are the main. Now maybe just to talk about the criminal justice system. We are involved in the criminal justice system in the sense that when we carry out investigations, just the same way the police do, we come up with investigation files, and the due process follows. The way the police do it is the way we also do it. The only difference is that we carry out our own independent investigations. So we carry out investigations, we have our own internal mechanisms of reviewing these investigations, after which the files end up at the ODPP. So if the ODPP agrees with our recommendations, then the file may end up in court, or it may be closed, depending on the outcome of the investigation. So maybe just to respond to a lady who asked about the process, the criminal justice process, it's not a one-off thing, because as the commissioner of police mentioned, so many other players are involved. So we have the investigators, for example, which is which have the investigators. After investigation, if at the level of investigation, for example, you mentioned about when you're talking about the violations against children, women, youth, and persons with disabilities. For example, if I may give an example of a case of rape. Before, at the investigation stage, we have many other players, like just the way my colleague mentioned, for example, a doctor is involved, you have to get a report from the doctor, and you will have also analysis of some of this evidence. For example, a sample may end up at the government chemist, which is also another player in the whole process. After this investigation, including all those players, then it goes to the ODPP who also reviews it, then it ends up in court, again with an officer from the ODP's office would be following up with this case. So many players are involved. So it's not something that can take a day. And cases vary from one to the other. Some cases may take a short period, others may take longer depending on how complex an investigation is. I wish we can.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Talk about stigma and how it affects children, especially those who are facing violence. We find that in most cases, children are stigmatized, especially when they face a lot of violence in the community, and the children see them as if they are not part of them. And in this case, we find these children get into depression, and others start acting very aggressively. They want to fight because they are stigmatized and they don't feel like they belong to that community or the community of children. In school, you find their performance deteriorates so much, and they need to be supported. And in most cases, even the perpetrators of the violence are not able to say that. So the children cannot even talk about what happened to them and that what is making them be stigmatized. So in most cases, we have psychosocial support programs in schools for children, and sometimes we talk to them and they form their own groups and they talk to, the teachers talk to them. We encourage these children to speak up so that they are able to be helped. We do parenting without violence, where the mothers or the parents talk to these children to support them to speak up of anything that is happening to them, either at school or in any other place where they live. We also talk about positive parenting. And in most cases, we know that it's the parents who should be able to help these children. First, the children should be able to open up to them. So when these children are identified, whether they're in children's homes or they're within their family units, we do the support programs to help them speak out about the problem they're facing. And this also gives us a chance to encourage the child-friendliness that we have established in various places within the country. We advocate for child-friendliness because that is where they can report for the first time, and that is when we can also notice if they are facing any type of psychosocial stress, or maybe they are getting into depression, or maybe they are feeling stigmatized. So the child-friendliness are within the police stations, and we have trained police persons or women who are able to talk to these children when they report such cases, and the children are able to open up to them so that they get support and they can be helped. So we have programs in schools and we have programs in the community, and children that are facing stigmatization, we also educate parents and the community on how to recognize these signs and get to identify them. Thank you. Thank you.
Good afternoon, colleagues. Then for me, I can definitely, because it has been spoken issues to do with children, what I can definitely say is that we have the National Children's Policy 2010. And before you allow me to tell you the content of the National Children's Policy, we have the vision, we have the goal, we have the objective, And then under part 3, we have the survival rights. Under that, we have health. Then under 4, we have the development rights. Under development rights, under the policy, we have education, we have leisure, recreation and play, we have socialization, parental care, and access to information. Then under the same, we have cultural and artistic activities. Then under protection right, we have identity and registration, drug and substance abuse, physical abuse, child labor, child trafficking, child sexual abuse and exploitation, child neglect, children of internally displaced families and refugees. Then we have children affected by diseases, war and conflict. Then we have children and law. We have negative impact of ICT and media. We have retrogressive cultural beliefs and practices. We have negative influence and harm by caregivers. We have orphans and vulnerable children. And then children under adoption, foster care, and CCIs. And CCIs specifically stands for Charitable Children's Institution. Nowadays don't call them orphanages. Then under the children's policy, apart from their rights, we have also participation rights and duties and responsibilities of children. Because within the African context, under normal circumstances, watoto pia wako na majukumu. Sio kila wakati ni haki kwa mtoto. Pia ako na majukumu within the family, the community, society, and the nation at large. And then I do believe, if you give me a chance also to take you through, there's what we call as and this one is more specifically on the meeting today. The Children's Department has developed a booklet. The booklet is specifically talking to the director that it takes all of us to protect children, and more so it is more broad on election. And if at all you allow me to go through, this is the 2022 elections and child-focused protection messages. And it's more specifically on this coming election, and it has various messages to various actors. It has messages for children. I'll just sample out. Messages for children basically goes as, in case there is trouble, children need to stay together, older children shall take care of the younger ones. Children need to know their parents or caregivers' names, phone numbers, and the home area. Children should seek their parents or caregivers' permission before they leave. And then in case a child is abused physically, sexually, or emotionally, the abuse should be reported to a trusted adult government officer or call telephone number 116, which is a toll-free line. Lost children should look for help in safe places like hospitals, police stations, churches, mosques, government offices, or call the toll-free number 116. Children should know. Okay, so then there's messages for teachers. We have messages for private sectors. We have messages for community leaders. We have messages for the general public, messages for politicians, messages for humanitarian actors, then messages for security personnel, messages for media personnel. Yeah, his message absolutely. So all politicians and the electorates have a responsibility to ensure that children are protected, and then our children deserve peaceful elections. So I'll share with you, and also what I wanted to insist is that there's what we call ACE. And ACE stands for Adverse Childhood Effect. If at all a child ametuzwa vibaya ama amepitia experiences mbaya kwa mtoto, definitely hiyo inaenda kumuaffect akiwa mkubwa, and it comes back as a grown up, inakuja kumsumbua akiwa mtu mzima. Akiwa mtoto, definitely atabuli akiwa mzima. So under normal circumstances, we usually advocate that children are supposed to be taken care, and they are supposed also to be given a space, a child-friendly space to air their views. And we should also realize that children are not supposed to be talked to. They are supposed to be talked to with. I repeat again, watoto unaongea nao, sio tu unaongelea, unamwongelesha mtoto. Sit down with the child, come down to the level of the child so that the child mtoto ajifungue ili muweze kuelewa ni nini inasumbua mtoto. So nimeshukuru.
Asante. I just want to do a remark on the state of safe shelters and safe houses in Kisumu, especially in light that we are getting into elections. We need to know in case of violence, there is in case, because it's not about it might happen. I want to say that in Kisumu we don't have a government safe shelter. What we have is what civil society organizations and individuals have tried to put up to cope with the situation, because we do not have anything that is provided by government at the moment. So, but I just wanted to highlight that we have KMET. KMET, they have a halfway house that was launched, I think, 2 months ago. And if you want to get the contacts of KMET, in case you will need to refer somebody there, this is their contact: 0732 801 396. This the contact you call somebody, that is 0732 801 396. When we talk of a halfway house, it is a place that can provide shelter temporarily before this person is moved to another place for safety. Then we have COFAS. COFAS, they have some safe space. And if you want to contact COFAS, this is their contact: 0703 467479. I've said COFAS 0703 467479. That is COFAS. Then we have Miguel. They also have a halfway house. It was also launched this year. These are the contacts that you can call: 0714 320065. That is Miguel. 0714 320065. Then also Women Concern have a safe space. Women Concern, they have a safe space. This is their number: 0722 442324. Those are the limited places we have in Kisumu, where in case you have survivors that require to be withdrawn from the environments where they are, that are their violent situation, they may not be able to accommodate big numbers, but individuals, children and women can be taken there for a short while to be rescued before arrangements are made where they can stay. Besides that, we have hotlines in case of danger and you realize that you need to report this matter, maybe you are not able to access police as quickly as possible. We have these hotlines, and through these hotlines, reports can be given. We have a hotline by Papazuko.
That is 2010-94. 2010-94, Papazuko operating here in Kisumu. The hotline is 2010-94. They report a matter there to reach the police desk. They are not able to get the police. Then of course we have the national hotline for gender-based violence cases, 1195. That hotline operates 24 hours. It is based in our Ministry of Public Service, State Department for Gender, 1195. When you report a matter there, it will access the relevant police station. Then we have hotline for children, he has just mentioned. In case that hotline will report all matters of SGBV also. I'm told it's not just for children alone. 116 is the national hotline for children. Yes.
Excuse me, but I rejoined them, and on those hotlines he's saying